I don't know what's going on, really. I just wanted to sit down, make a little update video. Jesus Christ. This is just going to be an update about the lockdown from my perspective and a little bit about what's going on in my community, like the town around me, the town that I live in. We're into week 9 now of lockdown. I think it's week 9. I'm looking at articles on what the current rules are in the UK, and I can't actually find anything that came out after the 11th of May. Don't know whether it's just my poor research skills or what, but yeah, I was hoping to give like a rundown of what the current situation is, what we're allowed to do. It will be really good to see a relaxing of these rules now so that people can start to come out of their homes. I mean, there's lots of people who are already out of their homes walking around town. You can still see plenty of people out on walks, going to the shops, out driving, out riding bikes, all sorts of things like that. But still, where I live, everybody's doing it in a respectful way. The beaches aren't crowded by any means. In fact, there's barely anyone down there, which is strange to see on days like this with the weather as good as it has been. I live very close to Barry Island, and those beaches are normally packed on days like this, both from people who live in the town and people who come from out of town. But yeah, everybody's still maintaining that social distancing, and it seems to be in a respectful way. I haven't seen any annoyance. Everybody I meet is very polite and is happy to engage in polite conversation at a distance. I think this is sort of ingrained in people now, a sense that social interaction is should be avoided, not a problem necessarily. I think this is going to have long-lasting repercussions, if I'm honest, about how we conduct ourselves out in public. I certainly won't be rushing out to any restaurants or bars just because they open up again. I think just because the rules are being relaxed, it doesn't make the risk of contracting anything any less, or it doesn't make the dangers of actually contracting COVID-19 any less risky for people. So shops, I've now noticed that, the more I'm going to different shops, I know fast food places I shouldn't know this, but I do know that fast food places are starting to open up a bit more. I've been continuing to frequent the chemist a lot for getting prescriptions for my family and things like that. So I went to the chemist yesterday to pick up a load of stuff, and people are putting up barriers to varying degrees, and some of them I can see are useful. Some of them I don't understand what benefit this is providing. For example, in the chemist yesterday, they've constructed a whole wall out of wood and perspex so that the people behind the counter are very well protected from the people in front of the counter and vice versa. So that seems like a very useful, very good social distancing measure. However, purely for research, I promise, I went to KFC also. When I went through the drive-thru there, they put up this tiny little perspex barrier which was about this tall, and it only covered half of the window where they take payments and give the food from. I can't see what that's doing really. It just seems like maybe they've put it in place to show a good front, like, look, we're doing what we can to stay open and to serve the public, but that barrier seemed absolutely useless. But again, I suppose it's tricky to know what to do. They're trying, at least, I guess. It didn't make me feel any safer going there, and clearly I have a disregard for my own health anyway if I'm going and eating junk food from KFC. But that's besides the point. Again, I mentioned earlier, now the rules in Wales are relaxed slightly so that you can now have 2 households in one garden. I can finally go and see my parents, not as properly as I'd like to, because again, from my perspective, I've got a mother who my mother is currently undergoing chemotherapy, so her immune system isn't what it once was and what it should be and hopefully will be again. So I'm personally not going into my family's garden and integrating. Anytime I do see them, we'll be at a distance, just because personally we're trying to keep my mum safe at the time, at this moment. But it's nice to know that things are slowly opening back up. I can't wait to host in my garden again. It was around this time last year we had one of the best barbecues we've put on, I think, and loads of people came around. We had a few drinks, we had some good food, we played some games, and it was great. Haven't been able to do that this year, obviously, but we're really looking forward to opening up again and having like a few people around when we're able. And everybody, I think, is itching to get out, so it should be a good one. I'll have to prepare the neighbours and say, just so you know, we're having a little garden gathering. It is going to be respectful. We're not going to be rowdy. I think the weather's made this a little bit more bearable as well, because especially where I live, lots of people have their own gardens, and I'm very close to the beaches, very close to the parks. It makes everything just a little bit more cheery. I can't imagine how this would have gone if we were all stuck inside and there was just grey clouds and rain all day. It would have been even more depressing. One thing that I wasn't very pleased to see happen the other day, and I felt really awful about it. I was out walking Morty. Feels a bit mean to say I wish I had video footage of this, because when I explain what happened. As I was down in the park with the dog, I let him off the lead, and then a bike went rushing past, which I didn't notice. Instantly, because my dog is a whippet slash lurcher and loves to chase things, he went after the bike. He's not aggressive, he wouldn't have done anything to the rider, he just likes to chase. And he has done it before a couple of times, and you know, I've learned my lesson for a while and I've kept him on the lead, but then I started to trust him a bit more and let him off. Well, this time he chased after the biker. The biker noticed the dog coming after him, panicked a little bit, I think, and actually veered off and fell into a grassy verge. Obviously that's a bad situation. So I went over, apologized. I was like, I'm really sorry, I take full responsibility. He started off quite angry, but I pride myself in my diplomacy, my skills in diplomacy. I can calm a hostile situation quite well. I think I should have gone into politics maybe, but... So yeah, I went over, he was quite angry at the beginning, he's like, you should keep your dog on a lead, blah, blah, blah. So I just owned up to it. Yes, I'm very sorry, I accept full responsibility. I said, are you okay? Is there anything I can do for you? Do you want any help? And he sort of softened after that, and he was like, no, it's all right. And he ended up laughing it off. I said, at the end, I said, look, I'd offer to shake your hand as an apology, but we can't really do that in the current climate. And he was like, yeah, I get it, no problem. So we parted ways quite amicably, but for God's sake, sometimes the dog is a liability. The problem is he's just so friendly, and he loves people, he loves children, he loves other dogs. But if anybody makes a swift movement, he is prone to chasing. So I'm afraid I'm going to have to rein him right back in at the moment. Keep him on a tight leash, literally. And it was just as I'd stopped to speak to somebody who works for the dog's home that Sean and I adopted Morty from. And as I went to say hello, that was when Morty ran and the guy fell off the bike. So I was just like, Jesus Christ. So yeah, that's a brief update, really. There's not a lot going on. I don't think much is going to change very quickly. I think everybody's just waiting for the new rules from the government so that they can adjust their behaviour accordingly, and that's it. It's just going to be enjoying time in the garden. We still have no idea when we're going to be able to go back to work, because we do childcare, so we're waiting to see what the schools do. So for the time being, again, I understand it's a very dangerous situation for some people. Like I said earlier, my mum is immunosuppressed, so we're taking it very seriously, but I will admit I am enjoying the time off. I feel like I've had a good solid rest now. So it's just me and Morty in the garden this afternoon. I'm just going to enjoy it, and I hope you guys can enjoy the weather as well. I know everybody might be working from home, some people might not be working at all, some people still have to go into the office. You've got to count your blessings, whichever they are. So, you know, some people are really lucky to even have a job at the moment and have a steady income coming in, even though they might be thinking they're missing out on the weather. Basically, the grass isn't greener on either side. Everybody is in their own different situation, but all I can say is I'm thankful that my family are happy and healthy, and we've got time to sort of slow down, take stock of everything that's gone on over the last 4 years, because it's been a bit of a ride for us personally, and just recuperate. Now, having gone through all that, I wouldn't like to mention it. I feel like I should mention it, and I'm not just tacking this on at the end of the video as an afterthought. I've thought about this for the last couple of days since the incident happened. George Floyd is the gentleman that was killed recently by a policeman in Minneapolis. I've been thinking about this, and I've been keeping an eye on the story ever since I found out what had happened a couple of days ago. I'm not American, I don't come from there, but I've always had, since I was young, a real affinity with American culture, and I've loved the idea of America as a country, the opportunities that it affords people, the abundance that seems to be available there. But what happened to George Floyd the other day is just horrific. The video has been widely shared, and I have seen it myself. It is horrific to see. It's an absolute travesty, and now it has also led to protests in the cities and further on to riots now, and it's just such a horrific situation. I guess I could just put this here as this is my acknowledgement of a horrific incident, and you know, what can I say? My literally, I genuinely mean this. My thoughts are with the community in Minneapolis and the family of George Floyd. I don't know much about the situation. I don't feel particularly qualified to speak on it. I just wanted to acknowledge that it's horrific. Stay safe. I hope everybody's doing well. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Be grateful for what we've got.